Welcome back to the Means Report. So happy to continue our annual tradition of making this Means Report a golf-themed edition. And Jill Brown with First Tee led us off in a great way, keeping us updated on what's happening in the world of junior golf. I hope you'll take advantage of all the great programs at First Tee. And I hope that you will continue to cheer on all of the athletic teams at Augusta University. There are some great ones out there. And we are so excited to welcome the head coach of the Augusta University women's golf team, Coach Caroline Hasse-Hegg. Coach Hegg, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it. I know you said call me Caroline. I'll try to do that throughout the interview, but thanks for being with me.
Thank you for having me, Brad. Glad to be here.
Me too. All right, so just overall, how are things going this season? The Jags had a great 22-23 year. We're almost to the end of this season. How are y'all doing?
We're busy is what we are.
Yeah.
Obviously, last year we made the NCAA championship finals for the first time in program history, which was very rewarding and a great experience. But now it's time to get back to business, and we have just played 2 tournaments in a row. We played really well last week at UGA in their home event, and we'll leave Saturday to go to NC State for a match play event. So we're very busy. Unfortunately, we're not going to be here for the beginning of Masters Week, but we're out there representing Augusta and playing very well.
NC State's going to be rocking Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wild out there.
It is, yeah. Final Four time.
Be positive if they win, and maybe a little sad if they lose. But
right, no, maybe the team will be sad and won't play as well when y'all go up against them. Let me ask you this. I saw something the other day where a golfer was talking about the importance of a team win, which certainly you want the Jags to win as a team. But which is more important to you as a coach, to see your individuals do well or to see the team do well, or maybe it's both?
That's a great question. I think one usually leads to the other.
Okay.
For me, obviously we want the team to win first and foremost. A team win is always more rewarding because more people are involved in getting trophies and taking them home. But the most important thing I try to stress on an individual level is just improvement. And when I see players getting better, having breakthroughs in competition, which is so hard in this game, that's the most rewarding individual thing for me. We had a player have a really great, young player have a really great tournament last week at UGA and play really strong, confident golf, and she finished in the top 20, and that feels like a win to me when you see players progressing and doing the right things and learning on the golf course. So they're both great. I'll take either one.
What's your role as a coach? Is it more, hey, great job making that top 20, and psychologically you try to make sure that she stays in that kind of a headspace, or is it like hands-on, let me tinker with your swing during practice and I'll help you get even better?
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
I mean, any sort of role we need to fill, we do. We help them off the course, on the course, hold them accountable to make sure they're doing the right things. All these players are so good. They come to Augusta with swing coaches and hopefully with good fundamentals. I don't really view that as a huge part of my job. And I've found that college kids, that's the main thing they want to focus on anyway, is their golf swing. So we try to really focus on good practice habits, on 100 yards and in, making sure our wedge game is sharp. We're getting the ball up and down as much as we can, and lag putting well, and trying to eliminate errors that can really hinder you on the golf course. Really, the golf swing is kind of the last thing we work on.
Where do your players come from, Caroline? Is it, you hear about hotbeds in recruiting, especially in college football, the South, California, you name it. Is it the same for women's golf, or is it just global?
It's global. I think you see that in the Augusta Women's Amateur right now. Players from all over the world, all different continents, and our team represents that as well. It's incredible how the game's exploded internationally on the women's side. We have 2 players from South Carolina here in our backyard, and then the rest of the team's pretty much international from all across the globe. And as a coach, I'm trying to bring in great golfers who are going to succeed academically and be positive members of our community. I would love for those to be players from our backyard, but I'm gonna fish with a big net and bring in the best young women I can.
How can you tell if they're a fit? Is it a phone call? Is it a FaceTime? And you say, okay, she's got what it takes.
Yeah, it's a lot of communication. the golf's kind of just the first check that you check off the boxes is how talented they are. But then a lot of it's, is it somebody I can communicate with and I can have a relationship with and that's going to get along with the other girls on my team and also fit in our community here in Augusta. Some kids want to go to a big school with a lot of social life, and some kids want to go to a small school that's more academic focused. So a lot of it's just fit.
Speaking of football, I heard a coach say the other day, and I've heard several say this actually, that the number one thing that, first of all, the parents accompany the children on these recruiting visits, and the parents have a lot of input. They'll ask things like, how much playing time is my child going to get, or how much money can you pay them? Are parents involved when you're trying to recruit?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah? Is that good, bad, or it varies?
I think it's just the situation.
Sure.
Right? I mean, in the same way I have to be able to get along with the players, I need to be able to have a positive relationship with the parents too. And
yeah.
A lot of it's just kind of understanding the family dynamic and making sure that it's going to be a positive fit.
What about junior golfers out there who are watching this and who aspire to play at the collegiate level? What do they need to do to make sure that potentially you choose them one day?
They need to compete in decent events. That doesn't mean they need to pay a bunch of money and travel the world on the AJGA circuit.
I was going to ask you about that.
No,
yeah.
you just need to be competing.
Okay.
And then the main thing I tell any junior player, whether it's in lessons or at our camps that we work, is get better from 100 yards and in. It's one thing to stand on the range and hit a lot of balls and have a great swing, but if you can't score from 100 yards and in and get the ball up and down and putt the ball well, those are the things that are going to separate you. There's lots of kids that can hit the ball well, but being able to score and play under pressure is a completely different situation.
Caroline, no one wants to do that. Kids want to go pound balls. They want to say, look how far I can drive it. At least the boys that I watched when my son was going through junior golf, how do you get them to go to the short game area and do what you just said?
Yeah, it's hard.
It is.
I just want to hit balls too. It's much more fun. As a coach, we try to, at least 1, maybe 2 days a week, we have an organized practice where we'll set up very measurable goals. Even if it's just simply you have to get all these balls up and down to that hole or to this hole, or you have to hit a certain number of shots from this distance before you can move on to the next. We try to do things that are very measurable and goal-oriented, so that it's a little less boring, a little less mundane. You're actually trying to achieve something. And we'll do those quite often with our team. If we have organized, structured practice that I'm in charge of, it's almost always wedges and up and downs.
Man, people need to play that part of this interview back again, because you're right, it can be life-changing, score-changing if you're good 100 yards and in. All right, a few quick questions just to find out what you do, because I've always been fascinated about a coach's role. Sometimes we will see you walking around during a tournament with a walkie-talkie or some sort of communication device. What's happening? Then we see it in the Ryder Cup. What are y'all doing?
I'm not a walkie-talkie coach.
You're not?
No, we don't do. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
We're not the Secret Service. We don't need walkie-talkies. But a lot of it, there's a lot of things we can do. Sometimes the best thing I can do as a coach in tournament play is just let my players play.
I mean, if a player's leading, do you whip up next to him in a golf cart and go, okay, you're leading, keep doing it?
Rarely.
No, you don't want to do that?
Because you don't want to get them out of the rhythm that's gotten them to that point. I think a big part of our job in tournament play might sound counterproductive, but it's to keep them relaxed and having fun and just in the moment. If you can stay in the moment in golf and not be worried about a mistake you had or a shot that's coming up, then you can usually do the best you can over the shot in front of you. But we're doing, it depends on the tournament. Sometimes we're on par 3 tees to make sure kids understand the wind or where the pin is on a hole. A lot of times for me, I like to just walk the entire round with one player, because I can learn a lot in addition to helping them. I can learn a lot more about what's going on in their mind, what their selection process is over shots, and how they're processing just the challenge that's in front of them, and then we can get better.
Couple more quick questions. We talked to the first tee director in our first segment. We're seeing the Augusta National Women's Amateur unfold as we record this interview. Have events and programs like that encouraged more girls to play golf?
I think they're fantastic. The amount of young girls playing golf today as opposed to when I came up has absolutely skyrocketed. And I think golf is as accessible and fun as ever for junior players, and that's fantastic.
Why did you first take up the game? You remember when you fell in love with it?
I fell in love with it as a toddler.
Yeah.
I grew up in Indiana in a tiny town with nothing to do, so I played golf with my older brother and my father pretty much every day. We played basketball in the winter when it snowed and golf the rest of the year.
How's it feel all these years later to know what kind of impact you have on countless lives, really, that these girls, these women look up to you and you change them?
Well, I mean, I try to just focus on where I'm at right now and
Yeah.
what's in front of me right now and the group that I have on campus. But it's very rewarding, and I think it's a lot better than a real job, that's for sure.
Well, it looks like a lot of fun, and you represent not only your university, but this community so well, Coach. And thanks for all you do. We'll be cheering for you come tournament time, and especially here as the conference events get underway, and I just appreciate you.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Coach Hegg, Coach Caroline Hasse-Hegg, head coach of the women's golf team at AU. When we come back, how you can help us get more great guests like the coach and the executive director. You can shape future editions of the Means Report. It is easy. We will show you in a moment.